Hey everyone, I'm Jill the Wandering Stamper and I hope you're having a fabulous Wednesday. Today I've got my red sweater on because we are going to make some Valentines and I thought I would just get into the spirit and get dressed for the occasion. So today we're going to make 3 separate cards. They're super simple, but they're very cute. You can also make these as birthday cards, but I wanted to show you 3 fun ways to make Valentine cards with 1 set of products, 1 color cardstock, and a few embellishments. So I'm so glad you joined me today. I think it's going to be a fun one. Let me take a moment to turn down the camera and we'll get started. Thanks for joining me. Look at the products we are going to use today. I love the Hearts of Elegance suite of products. Let me tell you, it's gorgeous. It could be used all year round. And here's what we're going to use to create all 3 of our Valentine cards today. So we're going to start out showing off this beautiful Hearts of Elegance stamp set. I mean, it's gorgeous. It has some really pretty sentiments and a few little flowers and hearts, and it's so pretty. And these could be used all year round. And then when you purchase it as a bundle, you save a little bit of money and you can get the dies that go with it, or you can just go ahead and get the whole suite of products. But these dies, I mean, come on, these dies you'll use over and over and over again all throughout the year. There's a whole bunch of hearts, and then of course the dies for the little flowers are there as well. They're very, very useful, and I know that I will never get rid of these because I'll use them over and over and over again. So that coordinates with Hearts of Elegance. And then I'm going to be using the Real Red and Garden Green Classic ink stamp pads for a couple of the cards. I'm going to use some of this gorgeous gold, what is it called? Open weave trim. Look at this trim. It's just so pretty and delicate, but also what I love about it is it makes your bows look really good. I'm not very good at tying bows, but because this is so flexible and poofy, when you tie a bow, it just always looks good. It always comes out great. So we're going to use some of that. I'm going to use some of this gold, I don't know what this is called, twine or string that I have on hand. I'm going to use some of that. And then you really have lots of options for embellishments. We have these adhesive back heart sequence. I believe this is part of the suite. The antique pearls work. These purple adhesive back sequence, they work. And these gold pieces that are in the low profile dots, those would work. So you just look and see what you have in your embellishment stash and use that. There's so many options. We're also going to use this die from the Stylish Shapes die set. I love these dies. I use them all the time. They are in the current catalog. I mean, check out these dies. These are just really good for so many things. So we're going to use that. And then, of course, the Marbled Elegance paper, which is part of the suite of products. Now, this is an online exclusive, so this stuff will eventually go away. If you love this, grab it now while supplies last, because it is an online exclusive and it will disappear at some point in time. But look at this paper. This paper is so pretty. You get 2 sheets of each design. I've showed you the front and the back. So here's one side. Here's the other side. I mean, look how pretty these go together. Here's another one, front and back. These marbled, and it all has gold in it. So look at this. I mean, you can use some of these all year round. Really, really pretty. How pretty for a birthday card. And then here's the last designs here. These marbled papers are just so pretty. I am on my 2nd pack of them because I love them so much. So we are going to make 3 different cards using that paper, and we're only going to be using Real Red, Early Espresso, and Basic White. So we're not using a whole ton of different cardstocks or ink colors. We're keeping it very simple, but you're going to see the cards are going to be very, very different. So let me turn this paper over to a clean side and let's get started. So the very first project we're going to make is this sweet little heart. Look at this. Doesn't this remind you of a box of chocolates? I mean, who's not going to love getting this? And it's so super simple to make. So let me show you how to do it. So you're going to start out with a base. Now your base is going to be a little different than normal. Normally you'd have a 5.5 by 8.5 piece of paper and you would score it at 4.25. This one's just a bit different because you don't need it to be as wide as it is. So this is going to be 5 inches by 8.5 inches and you're going to score it at 4.25. Okay? And that is so when you go to die cut this, you're not wasting a whole lot of excess paper on the side. So that's why it's a little narrower. So you're going to go ahead and take your large heart die that's in your box, in your Hearts of Elegance die set, and you're going to place that just so the lines, the cutting line on the top of your heart is off the paper because you don't want to cut totally through it. So what I do is I kind of place it so it's just above and I can just see a little bit under it. And then once I get it where I like it, I just get my reusable tape that I use in my die cutter and I just tape it down so that it doesn't move on me. And in case you're interested, that's the Post-it labeling and cover-up tape. I do have that linked in my blog, so you can find it. It's under Craft Room must-haves. But that's what I do, and then I run it through the paper cutter, just like that. So when you're done with it, you have this piece and voila, it opens perfectly and it still looks like a heart. Easy peasy, right? All right, so now that we have that, we're going to need a couple other pieces, and I go ahead and cut a lot of my pieces at once. So you're going to want a designer series, one of the designer series papers of your choice, and you're going to die cut that using this heart here that has these 4 rows of dots, and it just gives it this cool little texture on the edge. So you're going to cut 2. You're going to cut 1 with designer series paper, and you're going to cut 1 with basic white. Now you could layer these both on together and cut them at once. It'll work just fine. And a little tip for you, I will go ahead and cut out a piece of designer series paper the size I want. That'll just make it easy to put I'll put the die on it and run it through like that. Instead of trying to put a big piece and wasting paper, I just kind of cut a little square about the size of my dies and run that through. I also do this way for the gold paper, the gold foil paper, like that cuts out these shapes. Because if I do that, I'm not going to be worried about scuffing up the paper that I'm not using under the cutting pads, because you know how the cutting mats on your stamp cut and emboss machine get all scrapey, and that will show up on this paper. So I just cut out the size paper I need to die cut. That way I don't have to worry about messing up any of my other paper, because I know that's frustrating. So I cut out a designer series paper and a basic white, and I usually cut out 5 or 6 of these because I'll use them over and over. But I cut out a couple extra pieces. So I've stamped in real red the flower and die cut it. I stamped in garden green the coordinating leaves, die cut those. I also die cut a red heart with there's a little red heart that has little lines around it. It kind of matches this one. So I cut one of those out, and I also cut it in gold foil, and then I also cut a bigger heart. These all layer. With the gold foil, and then with my stylish shapes I went ahead and cut a tag. Okay, so that's everything you need for that card. Now let's put it together. So I'm going to go ahead and let's go ahead and stamp, because we might as well get that out of the way, and then assembly is a breeze. So I'm going to grab my dies out of the way. I'm going to grab my Heart Belongs to You. Where is it? There's lots of sayings you can use on this one. They all work. But I'm going to grab this one. And I'm going to grab my real red. I'm going to ink that up and just stamp it right on here. I'm going to stand up, so hopefully I get this straight. Okay. There we go. All right, we're gonna set that aside. And then I also want to stamp. I'm going to go ahead and do my stamping on the inside. And I'm going to grab the Be Mine stamp. Do I have that out? I do not. Let's grab that one. And that's going to go on the inside right here. So we're going to ink that up. And I'm going to stamp it right in the middle. This one kind of reminds me of those little candy hearts. All right, so that's it for the stamping. So I'm going to close my stamp pad up and we're going to put it all together. So I'm going to go ahead and put this on the inside. And I usually just put the glue right on the inside of where those perforated circles are because I don't want it to ooze out. I don't think it'll be a problem if it does, but why push it? So that is just going to get layered right there. And then on the front, we're going to do the same thing with this heart. Just like so. Look how pretty that is. It's already gorgeous. All right. Now I'm going to grab my gold heart. Let's pull this down here. And we're going to do some layering. So I'm going to layer this red piece right here on top of the gold piece. I think that looks really pretty. And I'm going to grab my dimensionals for that. And my Take Your Pick tool. And this only needs a couple. This is going to go through the mail, so it's going to go all the way to one of my kids probably, so I better make it solid, right? All right, and I'm just going to layer that right here, just like that. And now I can go ahead and work on my tag. So I want my tag to stay within the margins of my heart. So you just kind of move it around, get it the way you want. So I usually only worry about putting my adhesive right here. And then I'm just going to position it so that it's going to stay in the heart and not be on the outside. So I don't have any problems with my envelope. And now that that's on there, I can go ahead and place my heart. Just like that. Look how easy that is. Now, if you wanted to, you could put a couple of dimensionals under this edge and kind of make it stand up. Let me show you that. Just gives it a little extra dimension, kind of makes it pop up just on the end. So I'll just stick one there, let it stand up a little, and it just, you see the shadow a little bit under it. It gives it a little bit of a 3D look. So that looks pretty good. So now I'm going to go ahead and grab a piece of this open weave trim. That's a mouthful. I have a hard time remembering what this stuff's called. I just call it really cool looking ribbon most of the time. So I'm just going to make a little bow here. And like I said, I am not a bow maker, but your bows always look good when you use this stuff. All right, where are my scissors? You know, you think you have all your stuff organized for your video, and the thing you need the most is missing. There it is, it's hiding under my early espresso paper. So now I'm just going to give this a little trim. But see how cute these little bows are? They just fluff up on their own. Super easy to use. So I'm going to grab a glue dot. This would also be great for just some simple gold twine too. But I'm just going to put that there. And it just kind of reminds me of what you would have on the front of a candy box. So there's the inside or outside. So let's go ahead and finish off this inside. So what we have left are the hearts and the flowers. So I'm going to go ahead and just stick a dab of glue right here and attach it to my flower just like that. And then I'm just going to layer my heart on there as well. And I'm just going to glue all over this. Put this like this. How about like that? And then I'm going to add a little more glue to glue this heart. There we go. And I still have got a little bit of glue there. Wipe that off. Okay. So I still have plenty of room to sign my name, and if you wanted to add more writing, you could put another heart back here and have a good spot for writing. But there you go. Look how cute that is. It makes the sweetest little Valentine. All right, so we're going to set that aside and work on our next card. So our next card is super simple, but look at this. I just used the dies to do all the work. All right, so for this card, you're going to use your basic 5.5 by 8.5. You're going to score it at 4 1/4. Okay, so there's nothing new about that. That's your typical card front. And I have glue on my, look at that. I have glue on my, this is why you move your silicone craft sheet. This is why you need one of these too, because it takes care of any glue you get. All right, so we have that. And then you're going to cut a layer that's 4 by 5 1/4. So that's your typical card layer. Look, I've got it on this piece too. I use this glue eraser so many times because I'm always getting glue on things I shouldn't be. I'm a messy stamper. Anybody else out there a messy stamper? All right, so we have that layer and that's going to go on the front. And then I just simply cut a piece of cardstock of designer series paper just so it fits on the back. It's not going to show, so it doesn't matter if it's pretty. It's a great way to use your scraps. And then I also cut out plenty of embellishments to go on this card. Okay, that's it. So let's go ahead and add our layer behind. You know what, let's do our stamping first just in case we mess it up, because there's nothing worse than messing something up and then having to start over. So we're going to go ahead and add Happy Valentine's Day to this one. Again, I'm just going to use my Real Red. The colors that are in this paper are Real Red, Melon Mambo, Petal Pink is in there, and maybe Poppy Parade. I'll have to look, but it's really easy because everything kind of coordinates nicely. All right, Jill, let's stand up. Try to get this straight. Okay. I have my little chamois right off camera to clean those up because if I don't, I make a mess. All right, so that's there. Let's go ahead and close this up for the moment because I don't want to make a mess. So now you can just flip it over and make sure you know where your paper's going to go. So I'm just going to add, now remember you're adding the glue to the front, not the back. So you can add it like this, or you could go ahead and put your glue right around your heart. That works too. Whichever way you want to do it. And it's easier to just flip it over like this and then just place it where it needs to go. Just like that. Okay? Look how beautiful that looks. So pretty. All right, that looks good. So now we're going to flip it over. I'm going to give it a good press. And I'm going to use my foam adhesive strips. Now you could use a lot of dimensionals if you have them. I found this is easier. I'm not using so many dimensionals. And I don't use this a ton, so this is a perfect use for it. And you just go around and just cut your pieces So I just take a strip. Whoop, that's 2 strips. I just take a strip off and just go all the way around the edge and just cut and just keep on going until you get all the way around. It's really easy to use, and you know, it's actually kind of quicker than using all those dimensionals sometimes. So I just need one more piece right here. Okay, so that's that, and then I'm going to add a couple of dimensionals just in the middle, just so it doesn't get squished in the mail. So that's a lot less than I would have used if I had to put them all the way around. So that's a nice thing because I use a lot of dimensionals. So I'm just going to put these just like that, just to give them a little bit of more dimension in the middle so it doesn't get pushed in when it goes through the mail. You don't want all your hard work getting squished because that defeats the point of all that hard work. All right, so that is done. So now you're just going to layer it onto the front, just like so. Oh, it probably helps to peel these off. I'm wondering why it's not sticking. That would be because I didn't take the paper off. Okay, much better. Now let's go ahead and put this on our card, just like so. Gorgeous. All right, and now we're going to do the exact same thing to glue our, let's get this stuff out of the way. We're going to glue our little flower pieces together. Like I said, if you prep ahead of time and cut all your pieces, then you just sit and decorate, and it's just lovely to be able to do it that way. I'm going to go ahead and this time I'm going to glue this heart on. I'll put it right here. Hold it for a second. And then it's easy to just place this flower wherever I want. And you could use dimensionals and pop it up if you'd like. I've already got dimensionals under that layer, so I've decided I don't want to make it any beefier than it already is. So let's put them just like this. Okay, look how pretty that is. So now we just have to work on the inside. Now, I probably should have done this stamping ahead of time, but it's okay. I am gonna walk on the wild side. So I'm grabbing the stamp that says "My heart belongs to you" again, and that's going to be my inside greeting. So I'm going to ink that up. I'm going to stand up so I don't mess this up, hopefully. Perfect. All right. And if you mess up, the nice thing is you can just put a layer of paper in there and it'll be just perfect. So I die cut this pretty heart. You see all the details in that? It's so gorgeous. So I'm going to put that one inside. Whoa, look at that. Again, this is why I have that eraser. And then I'm going to glue this little heart on top. So these little dies, these little die cuts, they're really what sets off these cards. All right. So all card number 2 needs, let's add some hearts to this. So let's put one here and maybe here, and let's do a big one right here. There we go. So now it's got a little bit more glitz and glam. So there's card number 2. All right, last but not least, check out this card. It's a chocolate bar. This card, this has been around for a long time. When I saw it, I thought, oh my gosh, how fun is this? It's a candy bar. So I'm going to show you how to make that. It's super simple. So all you need, let me grab my, you need a base that is 4 1/8 by 11, and you're going to score it at 5 3/8, or 5 5/8. So that's a little bit different than normal, but that's so you get that really nice candy bar shape. So this piece is 4 1/8 by 11, so we're going to score it at 5 5/8. I apologize if you hear my husband. He's in there trying to fight for some camping spots in a national park. And there's a lot of phone calls. So when you do this, because this is 8.5 by 11 paper, you're going to have this, the front of the card is going to be shorter than the back of the card. But that's okay because we're going to be covering it up. But that's the only way to make this really work. All right, so you're going to do some scoring. You're going to take the short side, which is the front, all right, and you're going to score it. You're going to make 2 score lines the long way. So I'm going to put the short end of the bottom of the card there. I'm going to score it 1 3/8 and 2 3/4. So 1 3/8 and 2 3/4. Okay. So that is 2. So that really splits your paper into thirds. And then you're going to put it sideways. And you're going to score it at 7/8. Actually, let's do it this direction. You're going to do it at, you're going to want to start at the bottom. Because remember, we have it shorter. So 7/8. And then 2 inches. And then 3 1/8. And then 4 1/4. Okay, so what that's doing is making all your candy bar squares. So again, you're scoring at, on the short side, which is the front of the card, 1 3/8, 2 3/4, and then starting at the bottom, you're doing 7/8, 2 inches, 3 1/8, and 4 1/4. All right, now let me grab my bone folder, which give that a good crease. All right, so that's done. You're also going to want 2 inches, or if you'd like, 2.5 inches of designer series paper. So 2 to 2.5 inches wide, 9 inches long. I have made this with 2 inches, and it's fine, but I find 2.5 gives me more wiggle room for tearing. So I have that piece. And then you're going to want a piece for your inside. So that's 4 by 5 1/4. And then I've got a tag I cut and a heart I cut. So that is there. And then you're going to want early espresso. You're going to want 15 pieces that are 7/8 by 1 1/8. You're going to want 15 pieces that are 5/8 by 7/8. And you're going to want 15 pieces that are 1/2 inch by 3/4 inches. Now that sounds like a lot of cutting, but let me tell you, you can use your scraps, which I love, and you can cut 2 layers at once. So I cut these really quick that way. All right, so all you're going to do once you have those layers is grab that silicone craft sheet. Now, I'm just going to do 1 for you, but I'm going to show you, I will do 6 at a time. So I'll lay out 6 big pieces and then 6 medium pieces. I'll add the glue to my medium pieces, all 6 of them, or 8 of them, or however many you feel comfortable doing at once. I usually do 6 at a time, 6 or 7. And then you're going to center that piece on there, okay? Then I'll lay, and if you have a little edge, a little ridge, just take your bone folder and squish it down. And then I'll lay 6 or 7 more of the little pieces down, and I'll add glue to them. And then I'll go ahead and pop them all on top. So it comes together really fast that way. All right, so there's your little cube of chocolate, and those layers just give it that 3D effect. I love that. And then once you have all of your little cubes together, you add some liquid glue to the back, and you're going to center those on each one of the squares that you have on the front of your card. How easy is that? So let me take a moment to do the other 14 of these, and when I get to the bottom, I'll show you how to do that. All right. Now, when you get to this bottom row, you're going to hang off the edge, and that's just fine because that's going to be covered up by designer series paper. So don't worry if your squares hang off the bottom. It's not a big deal. And I am missing one. Isn't that usual for me? Here it is. I found it. All right. So now that I've got all of those chocolates on there, look at that, how cute that is. So you don't have to worry that this is hanging off at all, because the next thing we're going to do is grab that piece of paper, and you want to tear towards yourself, and you can tear it, and you can give it any type of twists and turns you want. I just kind of rip it, and you know, you can rip it more if you don't like the way you ripped. You just keep on ripping just like that. So that looks pretty good. So then I usually just sort of layer it. Okay, I like where I like it to be. So that looks pretty good. And if you want to go a little lower, just make your tear lower. So if I want this part to go downhill a little more, I'll do that. So that looks like that. Okay, so you figure out where you want it to be, and then I will go ahead and fold it at least on one side so I know where it's going. And then I'm going to open up my card, and I'm going to fold the other side. So let's get this out of the way. So remember, you want your paper to go to so remember that back panel is a little bit longer than the front panel. So you just want to make sure that you go to the bottom of the back panel, if that makes sense. So your card front and your card back are the same size. Now, if you have 12 by 12 cardstock, then, you know, you can cut it longer, and it's like 11.5 inches. And then you score it at 5 5/8. Somehow it works out that way. But this works out just fine, and you don't have to have 12 by 12 paper. So once I have that where I want it, I'm going to go ahead and just add some liquid glue to my card. Now, you don't want to go too low down here because you don't want to glue your card together, right? All right, so now I'm going to put it back on there, and I'm making sure that it sits at the bottom of the card. Just like that. And once you glue one side down, then you can just kind of pick up your card and do the rest. And because we use liquid glue, we can manipulate it a little bit. So now I'm just going to pull my card down a little bit and make sure it's the same height as the back of my card. And that's the beauty of liquid glue, because it lets you do that. So there is where we need it to be. That's perfect. And then I'm going to fold it down, and I just double check that everything looks good. Okay. So there is our candy bar wrapper. Look how cute that is. I'm going to tighten up my edge a little. But again, if you use liquid glue, you've got plenty of time to move things around and get them exactly where they need to go. All right, so that looks just like a candy wrapper. So now we just have to embellish it. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use this piece. And what do we want to use? We can use the My Heart Belongs to You. How about Sending Lots of Love? We haven't used that one yet. Let's use that one. Now, this will work with Melon Mambo really nicely as well. So if you have Melon Mambo you want to use, that's a good one. I'm going to put this more to the right. Or, yeah, to the right. Think about my directions. And then that way I can kind of add my heart over here. So this is going to go on here just like a tag. You just want to make sure it doesn't hang off the edge of your card. So I'm going to put this on pretty much the way I did the second card. I'm just going to put glue on one side and I'm going to put it just like that. And then I'm going to grab my heart and I'm going to pop that. I'm going to put it right here. Just like that. I kind of like the idea of putting a piece of ribbon on here. What do you think? If we do that, we need to take your pick tool and kind of ball that little glue dot up a little bit so that it doesn't show. And I'm going to pop it right in the middle of that. And then I'm going to put this on there. And then once you put it on there, it doesn't really show, and you can rub your finger on it a couple times and it loses its stickiness, so that way it won't stick to anything. Look how cute. All right, let's do the inside. I think we will do... Let's see. How about Be Mine? Since we said sending lots of love, let's do Be Mine. That's cute. So I'm going to do that at the bottom of the card, I think. Just like that. And I think I'm simply going to add a couple of little hearts. They don't always have to go on the front of your card. They can go inside. Look how sweet that is. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel so that you find out when all of these videos happen. And also, don't forget that you can click on my blog below and get all the cutting and scoring instructions so you're not having to search for them. I keep them all very easily listed on my blog. All right, there's our Sending Lots of Love candy bar. So let's take a look at our samples one more time. So we have our candy bar card. Love it. It's so simple. This would be a really cute birthday card too, because who doesn't want to get chocolate for their birthday as well? And don't forget, if you have little ridges sticking up, just run your bone folder over and that fixes them. And then remember, we made our Valentine card that was simply a cutout with some beautiful paper behind it. Gorgeous. So there's our second card. And then that first card we made, which really resembles a chocolate box. So we have a very good chocolate theme going on here. That is so simple to make. So who would you send these to, and who would it love getting them? So don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I hope to see you back here next week, and I hope you get a chance to send some sweetie a thoughtful Valentine card soon. Thanks for joining me so much, and I will see you next time. Happy Valentine's Day. Bye.